I've been to the Philippines a number of times, and the overarching impression I get from speaking to foreigners there, the newer ones especially, is that life in the Philippines is easy. Easier than Thailand, friendlier, simpler, cheaper at the daily level, English everywhere. Filipinos who chat to you in the queue at the supermarket. No language barrier, no cultural opacity, no constant feeling of being on the outside of the joke. I have a friend living in the Philippines now who disagrees with this. He's been there long enough to see what most foreigners do not. And thanks to his help, he's pointed me down a journey of discovery that most expats only find out when it's too late. The Philippines was actually a country that I'd been considering as a place to move to after Thailand, but I'm slowly changing my mind on that. And this video is the first on this channel where I want to explore the real architecture of long-time life in the Philippines. Because the closer that I look at it, the more I think the word easy is doing more damage to foreigners there than almost any other word in expat vocabulary. Because easy is the bait. It's the thing that gets a foreigner on the plane. The thing that gets him out of the hotel and into a relationship. It's the thing that gets him to sign the document, transfer the money, pay for that house, marry the woman, and settle into a life he believes he understands. And the country he believed he understood, the country he had been told was easy, is the country that takes everything from him, later, slowly, on terms he did not realise he'd already agreed to. This is what easy, in the Philippines, actually means. Start with the surface, because the surface is real. The Philippines genuinely is easier to land in than almost anywhere else in Asia for a Western foreigner. English is not a tourist language. It's one of the official languages of the country. Filipinos are educated in English from primary school. The bank tellers speak English. The lawyers write contracts in English. The court rulings are published in English. The hospital admission forms are in English. The road signs are in English. A foreigner arriving in the Philippines can walk into any office in the country and conduct business in his own language. He can read the documents he is asked to sign. He can talk to anyone in the bar, the restaurant, the taxi, or the gym. He can have a relationship with a Filipina in fluent conversation from the first message. He can attend a Catholic Mass on Sunday that uses the same liturgy as the church he may have grown up in. All of that is true. All of that is also a problem. Because the foreigner, who can read the contract and follow the conversation around him, concludes, almost naturally, that he understands the country. But he does not. He understands the surface. The structural rules underneath the surface, the constitutional rules about who can own what, the family code rules about marriage and the property, and practical rules about things such as how a Filipino court actually treats a foreigner with a grievance. Those rules are entirely different from the rules his fluency leads him to assume. Thailand traps its foreigners with opacity. The foreigner knows he does not understand Thailand and is cautious because of it. The Philippines traps its foreigners with familiarity. The foreigner thinks he understands the Philippines and is careless because of it. Those are two very different traps, and the Filipino version catches more foreigners harder because the foreigner never sees it coming. The bedrock of Philippine law on foreigners is Article 12, Section 7 of the 1987 Constitution. It says in plain English that no private land in the Philippines can be transferred to anyone who is not Filipino. There is one exception: hereditary succession. That is it. No foreigner under any other circumstance can own land in the Philippines. Most foreigners arriving in the Philippines know this rule in vague terms. They've heard it from a friend. They've read it on a forum. They've been told this by their Filipina girlfriend that there is a workaround. The workaround is always the same. Put the title in her name. The marriage will make it conjugal property. He will live in the house he paid for, and everyone does it, so don't worry. The Supreme Court in the Philippines does not agree. There is a documented case in which exactly this arrangement collapsed. A foreigner married a Filipina. He paid for several parcels of land during the marriage. The titles went into her name. The marriage was later annulled. The foreigner went to court asking for nothing more than the return of the money he had paid. Not the land, just reimbursement. The regional trial court denied the claim. The Court of Appeals denied the claim. The Supreme Court denied the claim. The reasoning is the most important part. The court ruled that because he had knowingly tried to circumvent the constitutional prohibition by registering the property in his wife's name, he had committed acts of dishonesty and could not invoke equity to recover his investment. The Constitution, the court said, was clear. The foreigner knew the rules. He tried to work around them. He gets nothing. This is the position of the highest court in the Philippines. It's on every public record. Every foreigner who buys land through a Filipino wife is, whether he realises it or not, in the same legal position as the man in that case. If the marriage ends, the Supreme Court has already decided, in writing, that he loses the land and has no claim to reimbursement. The condominium loophole, foreigners can own up to 40% of a condominium project, is the only honest path. Everything else is a slow-motion case waiting to be lost. Now, stack that on top of the next structural fact. The Philippines is the only country in the world, other than the Vatican, that does not have a divorce law for its own citizens. A Filipina married in the Philippines cannot, in most circumstances, get a divorce. She can pursue annulment, proving the marriage was void from the beginning. Annulments cost between 200,000 and 500,000 pesos. They take 1 to 3 years. They are contested. They fail more often than they succeed. A foreign husband can get a divorce in his own country and have it recognised by Philippine courts. The process is expensive and slow, and it does not change the property situation underneath it. The land is still in his wife's name. The Supreme Court has already told him what the answer will be on reimbursement. There is a deeper trap inside this one. If the Filipina was already married to a Filipino man at the time of her marriage to the foreigner, and the romance scam reports document this happening repeatedly, her marriage to the foreigner is bigamous and void. The foreigner believed he was married, but he was not. The property he paid for during the marriage is in her name, and her existing legal husband may have claim on it as conjugal property of the actual marriage. The foreigner has lost his money, his wife, and his house simultaneously to a man he never knew existed. The Filipinas who do this are not rare. The country's lack of divorce produces a population of women who cannot legally exit their first marriages, and a percentage of them simply stop disclosing these marriages when the next opportunity comes along. The Philippines has industrial-scale romance scam operations, specifically targeting foreign men. In October 2025, the Philippine National Police Anti-Cybercrime Group raided 3 condo units in Malate in Manila. 39 people were arrested in a single operation. 231 SIM cards were seized. That is what the model looks like. Small teams of operators running dozens of profiles simultaneously. Photos pulled from Instagram or generated by AI. Scripts shared between operators. The Filipina chatting to you might be a typist in Quezon City. The voice notes might be recorded by a third person. The video calls increasingly use deepfake technology, and the FBI has issued warnings since early 2026 that AI is now generating convincing, real-time deepfake calls. The 3 categories are the individual scammer running her own play, the hub operation like the Malati one, and the real Filipina who simply is not telling the foreigner about her husband, her boyfriend, her current other foreigner, or the 4 kids she has not mentioned. All 3 categories are common. None of them are detectable by a foreigner relying on his fluent English conversation to read the situation. And the foreigner is not stupid. He's doing what every romance scam victim does. He's mistaking surface familiarity for actual knowledge. The Filipina he is talking to speaks his language, references his culture, attends his religion, and asks the kinds of questions that make him feel known. He concludes she is the person she is presenting herself as. That conclusion is the only thing the operation needs him to reach. The property fraud industry runs in parallel to the romance one. Fake land titles, double sales, the same lot sold to multiple buyers, unlicensed pre-selling, developers collecting deposits on subdivisions they had no legal right to sell. The 2025 cavity arrests over fake land titles affecting multiple foreign buyers. The Lapu-Lapu case, where 75 unregistered lots were sold to people who had already paid millions. Aggregate documented losses run into billions of pesos a year. Foreign buyers absorb a disproportionate share of this. The foreigner reads the title in English. He understands the words. He believes the document is what it says it is. But he has not, and in most cases cannot, verify it independently at the Registry of Deeds. The seller is friendly. The lawyer is friendly. The agent is friendly. The contract is in English. Everything looks normal. The money transferred. The deed is delivered. 6 months later, someone else turns up with a deed to the same plot, and the Registry of Deeds confirms theirs to be the valid one. The legal recovery process for foreign victims is documented as being slow, expensive, and routinely targeted by secondary scams. Fake lawyers approach victims offering to recover the lost money. Fake Interpol agents claim to be investigating. Fake recovery firms demand upfront fees. The victim of one scam becomes the target of the next, while still trying to process the first. The pattern of violence against foreigners in the Philippines is, unfortunately, readily documented, and it does not look the way most people assume. Foreigners are rarely killed by strangers. Foreigners are killed by people they know. The wife's previous husband, the maid's boyfriend, the neighbour the foreigner had a dispute with, the business partner the foreigner trusted, the landlord the foreigner argued with over rent, the contractor the foreigner stopped paying. In documented cases, hits on foreigners in the provinces have been arranged for as little as $100. The pattern that runs through almost every named case is the same. The foreigner was integrated. He had built a local life. He thought he was safe because he was known and liked. The integration was what put him in the trap. The wife's previous partner knew his routine. The maid knew where the cash was kept. The neighbour knew when he was alone in the house. The business partner knew his bank balance. This is the dark side of easy. The same surface accessibility that lets the foreigner build a life in the Philippines also lets the people around him know him in ways they could not know him in a country where he was a stranger. The friendliness is real. The visibility it produces is also real. And in a country where a foreigner is presumed wealthy by everyone he meets, visibility is exposure. When I had a chat with my friend who has been in the Philippines for years now, he told me something that I have to keep coming back to. He said the foreigners who lose everything in the Philippines almost all share one belief. They believe they are the exception. They believe they understand the country better than the man they have seen lose before them. They believe their Filipina is different. They believe their lawyer is honest. They believe the surface they can read in English is the country they have actually moved to. He said the rate of disaster in the foreign community there is not higher than Thailand. It is just less visible. Thai foreigners come back to expat bars in Pattaya, in Phuket, in Chiang Mai and tell their stories. Philippine foreigners disappear quietly. Some go home, broke and ashamed. Some die in disputes nobody outside the immediate family ever investigates. Some stay broken in houses they cannot technically own, paying the rest of their lives for decisions they made when they thought that the country was easy. The Philippines does not look like a country that takes from foreigners. That is what makes it so dangerous. It looks like a country that welcomes them. The architecture underneath that surface is what this video is about, and the architecture is structured at every level. Constitutional, marital, criminal, commercial, to ensure that the foreigner who arrives, believing the country is easy, is the foreigner the country is most efficient at extracting from. The Philippines is not a hostile country. The Filipinos themselves are not predatory. The friendliness is genuine. The English is genuine. The Catholicism is genuine. The warmth of ordinary Filipino families is genuine. None of that is a lie. The lie is the conclusion the foreigner draws from it. The conclusion he draws is that the country, which feels familiar, must operate on rules that are familiar, but it does not. The constitutional rules forbid him from owning land. The family code rules trap him in marriages he cannot exit. The criminal system makes him a target as soon as he is integrated enough to be known. The civil courts will not enforce his rights in any reasonable time frame, even when he wins. The recovery industry is itself a scam vector, and the highest court of the land has already ruled, in writing, that if he tries to use his marriage to a Filipina to work around the constitutional prohibition on land ownership, he is guilty of dishonesty and has no claim to anything he paid for. Foreigners think the Philippines is easy. That belief is exactly the trap. The country is easy to enter. It is easy to fall in love. It is easy to start a business in. It is easy to buy a house in. It is not easy to leave with anything you brought. That is why they lose everything. Not because the country attacked them. It's because the country let them believe that something was going on that was not. And by the time they understood what it actually was, the documents were signed, the money had been transferred in, the title was in someone else's name, and the Supreme Court had already decided, before they even arrived, exactly how the case would end. This is the first video in what I think will be a series, because the more I look at the Philippines, the more I realise it deserves the same level of attention that I give to my Thailand channel. The country sells itself as the easy alternative, but it is not easy. It is, in some ways, a much harder country to survive long-term in as a foreigner. My friend who pointed me to this still lives there. He's not leaving, but he told me one thing. He said the foreigners doing well in the Philippines all have one thing in common. None of them ever believed it was easy. Hope you enjoyed the first video on this channel, guys. Many more to come, and I'll catch you in that one. Cheers, subscribe, like, and bye for now.